What is up everyone, Movie I'm back again with another end of month vlog. This is just me talking about all the movies and TV shows that I watched in the month of March 2022. About 20 titles here. I would have liked to watch a little bit more, but what can you do? I've got a 6-month-old in the house, so it makes it a little bit hard sometimes, but anyway, let's just get into it. Some of these are streaming, some of them at the cinema, and some of them I have on Blu-ray right next to me here. So the first thing that I watched was a 2022 film called Kimmy, starring Zoe Kravitz. Now this was based around technology, basically. This is it's like a more advanced version of Alexa. I can't really explain what this technology is. I think the movie was set a little bit in the future there, but basically it's the technology is called Kimmy. Now this Zoe Kravitz character is kind of afraid to go outside because it's all during the pandemic, and she hears something on this Kimmy device that is related to a murder. So she's got a little bit of evidence there, and she needs to get this evidence to this detective or this laboratory or something where the Kimmys are made, something like that, and they have to investigate it. But she needs to go outside to do this, and she's got people like hot on her tail and stuff. It's sort of unravels itself as it goes on. Now I heard a lot of praise for this movie. Personally, I just thought it was quite average. Good performance from Zoe Kravitz. There was a good little kind of arc for her character, but overall I didn't love the movie or anything. I give it 3 out of 5 on Letterboxd. It was an interesting concept, interesting idea, but didn't land for me like it did for a lot of other people. But it was still a very good film. I enjoyed it. Next up, I went to the cinema to watch my most anticipated movie of the year. I've done the most anticipated films of 2022, and this became #1 on that list. And that is, of course, The Batman, directed by Matt Reeves. Now, I remember the day I was going to see this, work dragged. I just couldn't wait to finish, get in my cinema seat. I got there extra early just because of the excitement. Got loads of snacks around me with me and my fiance, and I just got lost in this movie, and I absolutely loved it. It was everything I wanted. Basically, it was teasing like it was going to be a Seven movie with Batman in, and that's exactly what I got. I think it does follow a lot of the same story paths of Seven. There was even certain things happening in the runtime that I remember from that movie actually happening then as well. I'm not going to give any spoilers away or anything, but I would be amazed if Matt Reeves said he didn't take any inspiration from that. But I've got a full review for this film on the channel, but this is my new release of the month. And I really, got into this. I did. I thought it was a brilliant Batman film. I do think it's going to be better on rewatch. I did want to go and see it again. I just haven't had a chance to go to the cinema for a second time, but I'll definitely be picking this up on 4K. Robert Pattinson was absolutely incredible as Batman. He does have the potential to be the best, I feel. I'm not just saying that because it's a new movie or anything. He blew me away in the role. He just fitted so well. And the deleted scene came out recently of him and the Joker, which was really fun to watch. Interesting to see what they do with that character in future. We're getting a Penguin TV series. I mean, this is just going to go on, isn't it? I hope we get a little Gotham universe there, but I do highly recommend the Batman movie. And I noticed a few locations in the film as well, because it was filmed in my hometown of Liverpool, and I actually done a locations video on there. So I'll leave the review and that locations video down below if you want to check them out. But The Batman, my new release of the month for sure. An absolutely brilliant film, and right at this moment in time, it is ranked #1 on my 2022 Letterboxd movie ranking. So if you want to follow me on Letterboxd, that'll be down below as well. Next up, we have a 4K, and this is Thor Ragnarok. Now, me and my fiance are rewatching the MCU because she hasn't seen every single one of these films. I think we started this months ago, even before my son was born, and we finally got around to Thor Ragnarok. Looks great on 4K, by the way. But this was a really funny movie. Taika Waititi's directing and this is great. I laughed so hard at this. Definitely one of the most funniest MCU films. Definitely the best Thor movie as well, I feel. Really loved the villain in this, played by Kate Blanchett. Thought she was a really strong villain. But my favourite character by far was, I forgot his name. I think it might be Krug or something. The one who says you're gonna be the new Doug. I thought he was a great character. I would love to see like a little mini series of him or something on Disney Plus. That'd be great, even if it was just like 3 episodes. But with Thor Ragnarok, really fun movie. I loved the location of the scrap type planet where Jeff Goldblum runs. I thought that was all looked amazing. A really strong MCU film. I really enjoyed this one. So that is Thor Ragnarok. Next up, I was in a bit of a Batman mood and I watched Batman Mask of the Phantasm. A lot of people rate this one really highly. I mean, some of my friends were giving this 5-star on Letterboxd and stuff. I really do like the Batman animated films, but this is more based off the Batman animated TV series back in the early 90s. It sort of got its own film, and it is this, the Batman Mask of the Phantasm. I did enjoy this. You know, I thought it was a really good animated movie, but the villain was very strong as well. Bit of a mysterious aspect going on there. We don't quite know who this villain is, and they're wiping out these big gangsters in Gotham and stuff. Sort of framing Batman at times. There's a lot of Bruce Wayne story going on, and I thought it was a very strong Batman animated movie, but I wouldn't give it 5 stars or anything. I think I went for 3.5, but it was still really strong, you know, story and stuff like that. I really want to pick up them Batman TV, animated TV shows on Blu-ray, because I used to love them as a kid, but I just never got round to Mask of the Phantasm from 1993. But yeah, I enjoyed it. Glad to have seen that now. So that is Batman Mask of the Phantasm. Next up is another Blu-ray, and this is a new release from Arrow Video, Don't Go in the House. This was recommended by a few people here on YouTube, so I went out and picked it up. And I have swapped the cover there just because I've already got this cover on this slip, so I might as well have that one there on the Blu-ray. Why not? Might start doing that with all the Arrow titles now. This is basically about this loner who he kidnaps women and then sort of tricks them into his house basically, and then he takes them down to his cellar. But he knocks them out and ties them up, and they wake up in this stainless steel cellar, and he actually burns them to death with a flamethrower. Yes, bit of a brutal movie. I believe this was a video nasty. The main character in this, he's a right weirdo, but it was a good performance from the actor who played him. I can't quite know his name, I'm really sorry, but it was a decent little slasher, a bit of a different slasher because he's not going around with your usual machetes and stuff. But yeah, I enjoyed this movie. I did. I thought it was a good little low budget film, and don't expect a masterpiece or anything like that because you can tell it is very low budget, but I did have a good time with this. I'm very happy to have this in the collection from Arrow Video. So that is Don't Go in the House. If you like these type of films, definitely give this one a go. Next up is, sorry about that, the new Pixar movie Turning Red. Now, I was really looking forward to this because I've seen it advertised quite a bit, and this is about a young girl who uncontrollably turns into this big red panda and it sort of trickles through her family why this happens. Now, I don't really want to go into it too much, but I thought this was a really fun film, and what I loved about this was the 4 main characters. So you got this main girl who keeps turning into this panda, but her 3 other friends are really great characters as well. A lot of friendship involved and teaching about friendship there, and even though in the 3rd act it did go a little bit silly, I still enjoyed it for what it was in that 3rd act. But I just thought it was a great little story. All take place in 2002 as well. I didn't really feel that nostalgic part of it, to be honest, apart from when people had these older phones compared to the touchscreen ones we get now. But a really charming film from Pixar, and they very rarely miss, do they? And this was a great addition to their film library. So Turning Red, if you've got Disney Plus, I do highly recommend that movie. Next up is The Adam Project, and now this is, I've got the iPad in front of me, everyone, by the way. I can't remember all these films off the top of my head. Next up is The Adam Project, which came to Netflix, I believe on the same day as Turning Red. And a lot of people seem to really like this film, but I have spoke to 1 or 2 people who agree with me. I thought it was very forgettable. I didn't really care what was gonna happen halfway through, involving Ryan Reynolds and his former self. So basically he's a time traveller and he meets up with his former self, his like 10-year-old self, and they have to work together to sort of save the world basically. Mark Ruffalo's in there as well as their father. Boy, same person really, but Ryan Reynolds' father, and just weren't really feeling the dynamic between the three in the third act or anything. It started off well, but it did drift for me, and I just started to become a little bit detached from it, and in the end it was just pretty forgettable. Same director as Free Guy, but Free Guy is by far the better movie in my opinion. I didn't love this film, I just thought it was okay. I think I gave it 2.5 on Letterboxd. So next up is a Blu-ray that I picked up this month, and that is Galaxy of Terror. Now I heard John from Mondo Chillivic Movies talking about this, seen it in HMV, and I just could not stop looking at this cover art. And I walked away from it a few times and then came back and went, you know what, I can't walk out of this store without this now. It's in my head to grab it. And this has also got alternate artwork on. Now I absolutely love that poster. I decided to turn it around, so I've got this one there and that one there, but I absolutely love that. I've got a little bit of a Star Wars horror theme going on there. But this basically takes a lot of inspiration from the movie Alien. These people have to go and answer a distress call on this planet, and there's a lot of monsters hanging around there and stuff. And they go into this big, like a pyramid type thing on this planet where all these monsters are. But what really pushed me to this, apart from the artwork and John talking about it, was that Robert Englund and Sid Hager in this. Now you can tell Robert Englund is by far the best actor in this movie. You can tell why he's gone on to do Freddy and stuff after this. He was the best character in the entire film and the best actor. Sid Haig's acting was a little bit off here. You can sort of see why he was in a lot of B movies, and this is definitely a B movie. I thought the first two acts were great, and the third act, it really did take a nosedive, unfortunately, and started to trip over its own feet a little bit there. But I did really enjoy everything before that, for the budget that it does have. I don't mind little low budget horrors, and I'm still happy to have this in the collection. I thought it was a decent little movie, but love that artwork. Definitely one of my favourite Blu-ray covers there. So that is Galaxy of Terror. AT Films do a lot of these type of movies, and I'm really looking on picking up more of these now. So yeah, that is Galaxy of Terror. Next up we have the movie Fresh. Now this is a Disney Plus release. This is basically about Sebastian Stan, who you may all know as the Winter Soldier, of course, who meets this, well, basically the story follows this young girl. She's like in her 20s. She meets Sebastian Stan at a supermarket, and they start dating and stuff, and he invites her back to her house. I don't want to say too much more than that, but there's a little bit of a secret behind one of these characters, and I can't really say too much more because it will give the movie away. But what I will say is this is definitely worth a watch. This is one of the better releases from this month. I had such a fun time with this. Really, really well paced movie. If you like your horror, sort of, I wouldn't say horror slasher, or would I? No. More of a horror thriller type movie, then I would give this a go. I thought it was a really clever film, even though it was a simple concept. It was a simple concept, but executed well, should I say. Sebastian Stan was great in this. I'd love to see him do more of these types of films, and I really, really enjoyed it. And it just shows you that dating isn't the easiest thing for some people in today's age. So yeah, Fresh, I really enjoyed it. I do highly recommend that. Next up we have another Blu-ray here starring Joaquin Phoenix, and that is You Were Never Really Here. Excuse me. I've been recommended this a few times by people on Twitter, and I watched the movie, and then I went on Letterboxd and people were giving it like 5 stars, 4.5, and I was just like, really? I was really bored during this movie. This definitely has some moments that are great, but overall it was a very dull, slow burn that didn't really go anywhere. Apart from a few good moments like I just mentioned, the movie didn't really do much for me. Phoenix was great in the role. He's great in everything though, isn't he? He's basically this guy who uncovers kidnapped women cases. So he has to go and free these kidnapped women who've been taken by these traffickers and stuff like that. And I think he has to go and rescue this young girl. But yeah, I didn't love this movie. I'm not gonna lie, I'll probably never watch it again. and I expected quite a bit because it's been recommended that much, but it just really didn't do much for me. It was okay, just boring and dull in it. Boring and dull in quite a few places there. So yeah, nothing spectacular, I'm not gonna lie. Next up we have Windfall. Now I'm sort of going in the opposite direction compared to that last film, because a lot of people were giving this 2 stars and stuff like that, 1.5 star. And I actually give it 3.5 star. I really enjoyed this movie. So this is basically about Jason Segel, who you'll know from Forgetting Sarah Marshall and stuff, in a more serious role. So he's robbing this tech billionaire's holiday home in this glorious location, by the way. The location of this movie is great. Just looks like somewhere you would want to go on a getaway. And while he's robbing his house, he turns up with his wife or fiance. I can't quite remember if they're together or not in the movie. I think they are, yeah. I think it's his wife, played by Jesse Plemons and Lily Collins, is it? They turn up whilst Jason Segel is robbing this house, and it sort of becomes a hostage situation because he needs to get out of there without being caught by the cameras and stuff like that. And they're trying to work out a scenario where he can get away and everyone lives happily ever after. But there's some, I really, it's more of a drama, this, with lots of conversation and stuff, but I really got into this movie. I really did. I was so invested in it, and I just had a really good time with it. I thought it was definitely one of the better Netflix movies that they release. Jesse Plemons is in absolutely everything, isn't he? There's gonna be another 2 films here that I've seen with him in. This guy is just showing up everywhere. He's gonna be in more movies than Samuel L. Jackson, this guy, trust me. But yeah, I thought it was interesting. I loved how it all unfolded, learning more about the characters' backstories, and I do highly recommend this on Netflix. It's a solid 7.5 out of 10 movie. I really enjoyed it. I did. I'm really glad I watched that one. Next up is Boiling Point, starring Stephen Graham. Now, what a movie this was. This is basically about Stephen Graham, who's this chef. He's got a lot of troubles going on in his life, and I think he's just split from his wife. He's fighting to sort of see his kid, but when he goes to work in this restaurant as this head chef, he's in this environment where there's a lot of pressure. He turns up, there's a health inspector there who's just knocked his 5-star restaurant down to a 3-star, and then all the guests start arriving, they're fully booked. There's customers in there who are being arseholes, basically. There's a restaurant reviewer in there, and it just shows how much pressure this guy is under in this normal one night at a restaurant. You know, waitresses are messing up and stuff like that. And it really does make you think what these people sometimes go through in these environments. Now, what I will say is the directing in this film was absolutely spectacular. This is all done in one take. And when I say that, I don't think there was any editing involved, because my dad said he read an article or something where this is actually one take, there is no cuts. But they filmed it 3 times and picked the best one out the 3. Whether that is true or not, I don't know, but he was adamant that that's what he said. That's what he read in this article. Now that is just absolutely amazing to me. It really is. That is unbelievable. But even if they did edit it in, I was looking for it during the film, because this was before he told me. I didn't notice anything. It was just absolutely brilliant. It really was. This is such a good movie. I highly recommend it. It's just come on Netflix. The acting is spectacular. Stephen Graham, definitely one of the better roles I've seen him in. He's a great actor anyway, but this is definitely one of my favourite roles of his. I had such a good time with this. It was a great drama. And this month, I've been really getting into these type of dramas. I really have. Like, you've got Windfall there, this one, and a couple more I'm going to name in a minute. Excuse me. But I do highly recommend that. It's a great film. It really is. Next up is my second favourite movie of the year, just behind the Batman there. I had such a good time with this one, and that is X by Ty West, I believe. Now, he made a movie a while ago called something House of the Devil, is it? I think it was called House of the Devil. Correct me if I'm wrong, but he really got hold of a 70s vibe in that movie. I really did feel like I was in the 70s there, and this film is also based in the 70s in 1979, and I really got that feeling again. This is basically about a group of filmmakers who are going to make a pornographic movie, and they go into the outback of Texas. They've rented this house behind this old couple's home, and you know, you got Jenna Ortega in there, who's part of the crew with her husband, who's directing the film or filming it. You've got the guy who runs the studio there, and you've got the performers, of course. There's a lot of sex and nudity in this film, a hell of a lot of it. But this was a really great slasher. It was. I really enjoyed this movie. I just thought it felt kind of like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre in many ways, but also doing its own thing. Now, sometimes in slasher movies, the characters are the hardest thing to grasp because they're usually just there as fodder. But I loved all the characters in this film, bar one. I didn't hate him or anything. He was just, I'm just gonna say it, it's the film, the guy behind the camera. He wasn't as good as all the other characters, but they all just had something interesting about them. They were fun to be around, and that is very, very rare in these type of slasher films. Now, Kid Cudi plays this guy. I think his name might be Derek. Oh my god, he was brilliant. I couldn't believe it was actually Kid Cudi till after the film when I looked it up. He was such a good character. There is a shot where this girl goes swimming in a lake, and it's got this overhead shot, and there's something in the lake there. I just thought that was really well directed. But the whole film was just a horror fan's dream, in my opinion. I love modern horror, I really do. There's been a lot of great movies for slasher fans, for horror fans, and this is one of them. I can't wait to watch this again when it comes out on 4K, and I believe there's a prequel coming and a sequel, which have already been filmed, which is quite rare for someone like A24 to do, but here we are. So I can't wait to check them out as well. But X, such a great horror film. I highly recommend this one. This would have got my new pick of the month if it weren't for the Batman. Next up is Ambulance, directed by Michael Bay. And this is by far the most Michael Bay of all Michael Bay movies. He goes for it with the action scenes here. He really does. This is basically about two brothers who, when a bank robbery goes wrong, they rob an ambulance as a getaway vehicle, and it has a paramedic and a patient in the back, and it sort of becomes this hostage situation / car chase across, it might be Los Angeles, I'm not entirely sure, but it might be Los Angeles. And this stars Jake Gyllenhaal and Yahya Abdul-Mateen II as these two adopted brothers. Now, the first half an hour of this movie was absolutely fantastic. I loved it. And I thought, oh my god, this is going to be a hit for the hit and miss director in Michael Bay. And then when they get in the ambulance, it sort of goes downhill. The movie starts getting very, very repetitive, and the whole next hour and a half just feels exactly the same. Now think of the chase from Bad Boys 2. That's like a 10-minute, big budget explosions, Ferraris flying everywhere, Lamborghinis. That chase is never ever tense. It's never ever different. It feels very much the same, and this is where I think Michael Bay struggles directing his action scenes, and that's what this whole movie felt like. So I didn't love it. Jake Gyllenhaal is a very out there character. He was kind of fun. I think her name's Eliza Gonzalez, who plays the paramedic. She was by far the best character. But Gyllenhaal and my team weren't really working for me as a pair, and I just didn't love this film. As it went on, I was just getting more and more frustrated with how very much the same it felt. So yeah, I didn't care about many of the characters either, apart from the paramedic woman. So it was just a very lackluster Michael Bay film. He's done way better than this, even though he's not, in my opinion, an elite director or anything, but there you go. Next up, I watched Kingsman: The Secret Service. Now, I've never ever watched these films, but this was on Disney Plus, and I thought, you know what, here's my chance. I'm just going to get into these. Because the new one, my dad said the new one's quite good, so I want to watch these two before going to that. And I had such a great time with this. I absolutely loved this movie. It's kind of a James Bond in a comedic style of way, but lots of great violence and stuff in there. This is from the director of Kick-Ass. I forgot his name. Is it Matt something? I forgot his full name. I'm really sorry, but you do get them Kick-Ass feels in this. I had such a great time with this. It was just a fun movie, and I can't wait to check out the second one, The Golden Circle, I believe. I've heard it's not as good as this, but you know, time will tell. But I just had a really, really great time. I really did. It was such a fun movie, and I want to grab that on 4K. So, like I said, I watched it on Disney Plus, but I do want to get that on 4K. I love this dog as well, and Colin Firth was great in this as well. But you got Michael Caine in there as well. All Mark Strong, you know, great elite British actors there. I had a great time with it. I really did. Next up is Power of the Dog. Now this is where I started going into the Oscar nominated pictures territory, if you like. I don't know, I don't usually watch Oscar nominated films. I do if I'm intrigued by it, but I watched this. I don't know why. I just heard so many people say it was good, and I found this kind of to be a little bit like this film. Just kind of very slow pace, very dull and boring. Although I did like it a bit more than that one. There was something better about it. It was well directed. I forgot her name. Jane Compton, is it? She won Best Director. Maybe I can see why. I do think there was better directed films, but she directs this very well. Jesse Plemons is in there again. And basically this story is kind of about nothing. That's what I didn't really like about it too much, unless I missed the whole focus of the film. But it just didn't really do nothing for me. About two brothers, one of them's a hard ass, the other one's falling in love with this girl, Kirsten Dunst. And it didn't really go anywhere for me. I mean, I was expecting this big outcome after this long build up, but it just fell flat for me. I don't think this is a Best Picture nominee in my opinion, because the other two I watched after this were just on another level for me. But there you go, that's just my opinion of Power of the Dog. I know it's been split a lot of opinions, but there you go. Now I usually do an older release of the month, and technically I don't know if I can call this older release of the month because it did only come out last year, but my new releases are 2022 films and this is a 2021 film, so I am going to give my older release of the month to this. So if you don't agree with that, I do apologise, but this video is just a bit of fun, isn't it? And that is Coda, which actually won Best Picture. Now I absolutely loved this movie. It was absolutely incredible. As soon as it won Best Picture, I went home that night and watched it. I thought, let's just see what it's all about. And this is basically about this young girl who is in a family of 4, but she's the only one who can hear things because all her family are deaf, and she is sort of a translator for them. And they have this family business of fishing, and she goes out on the boat with them to make sure everything runs smoothly. And you know, she can pick up the calls on the radio and stuff like that. But she is an absolutely fantastic singer, and she sort of has to start thinking about choosing her own career and going this way while the family are going that way. And she has to pick between saving the family business or being part of the family business because they need her, or going and following her dreams. And I just thought this movie was incredible. Such a beautiful film, lots of emotion in there, great characters. The father was such a fun character, who I believe is deaf in real life, and he won the best supporting actor, I believe, because someone else won Best Actor. We know about that. He was great, but the teacher, Mr. Bernardo, as he's called in this movie, he was another awesome character. I forgot the main girl's name in real life, I'm terribly sorry, but she was great as well. I love this film. I absolutely recommend it 100%. I just thought it was absolutely fantastic. I give it 4.5 on Letterboxd. I very rarely give a film a 5, but it was such a brilliant movie. It really was. Because of this, in future now will be watching a hell of a lot more Oscar nominated films. I've seen about 4 or 5 of this year's ones, but I do plan on getting to the rest next month. You know, I've got Nightmare Alley in mind, Licorice Pizza and stuff. But Coda was incredible. It really was. I highly recommend it, guys. You will love it. It's just such a great movie. So that is Coda. Next up, I watched a TV series which I started a couple of months ago. We slowed down on it and then we come back to it and we actually finished it, and that is Yellow Jackets. Now this is basically about a female football team in high school excuse me, in the 90s, and they are great. They win championships, they win trophies, and they have to go to this big championship in another country. I can't remember where it is. On the way there, their plane crashes into this forest in the middle of nowhere. This big, vast, forest basically, where you can't see the end in sight. It's just absolutely gigantic. Now, a lot of them do survive the crash, and it's about them surviving in the wilderness. But it jumps back and forth because some of them, it shows you the ones that have survived when they're way older, like 30 years later, what they're getting up to now. Everyone wants to know what really happened in these woods and trying to distract information from them. And then it jumps back to when they are teenagers in the woods. And this all just seems very simple, basically. They're trying to survive in the wilderness, but there is way more to it than that. And you don't really see what's coming. I mean, it's a very, very clever TV show. I don't want to name what is going to happen or what happens, but basically all you need to know, it's a little bit more than meets the eye. And I really thought that that was the end after episode 10, but apparently there is another season coming. I do recommend this show. I thought it was really, really great. Now, Julianne, I always get her name mixed up. Not Julianne Moore, I always call her that. Oh, I forgot her name. I'm really, really sorry. She's off National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation and Natural Born Killers. Anyway, I really hated her character in this. I know she's meant to be like that, but oh my god, I couldn't stand her. But it was great to see Christina Ricci back on screen, you know, the one from Casper. She was the best part of this show. She was such a wacky and weird character, and I loved it in this show. But I do highly recommend Yellow Jackets. Next up, I watched another Oscar-nominated picture, and the guy who stars in this film won Best Actor, and we all know what happened there, don't we? This was King Richard. What an incredible movie. I give this 4.5 on Letterboxd as well. I do think Coda was ever so slightly the preferred film. Ever so slightly. But King Richard, again, was just absolutely brilliant. Will Smith, I can see why he's won the Oscar for this. He is basically Venus and Serena Williams' father, and he's sort of their coach as well, and it's the true story of him bringing these girls up to be these amazing tennis players. And he's got a whole plan set out for them and stuff, because he hears of someone before they're even born that a tennis player earned like 50 grand for one match or something, and he goes, well, it took me 2 years to earn that, so I'm going to make my next 2 daughters tennis stars. And it goes from there. But there's full of great characters in this. John Bernthal is a really great character as one of the coaches, and Will Smith is just, he won't take no, he won't just accept people giving him advice around him. He's got this plan set out. He was absolutely phenomenal in this movie. It could be the best film I've ever seen him in. I absolutely loved this film. I thought it was fantastic, and again, this has made me want to watch more Oscar-nominated films in future. I highly, highly recommend this film to everyone. And just quickly on that Oscar thing, I know everyone's sick of hearing about it, but what the hell are you doing, Will Smith? I mean, there was other ways to deal with that situation, but that's all I'm going to say. I mean, I've heard podcasts and stuff about it where it might just be a lot of bottled up rage because of the history with his wife and stuff, and I do agree with that, but we've all heard about it now. It's time to move on. And lastly, for this, what I watched this month is another 2021 film that I've got a list on Letterboxd of 2021 films that I still want to watch. There's about 4 left on there, but but I watched the Antlers. Again, Jesse Plemons turns up in this as the sheriff. He's played the sheriff a few times and a few things as well, hasn't he? Now, this is basically about this young boy and his father, and they're kind of in this chemical plant. His father's up to all sorts, and they get exposed to something, and he starts mutilating into this monster, if you like. I don't want to say too much, but it's basically about the other brother, the kid's brother, sort of looking after them in this home, and people are trying to find out what's going on in this house, basically. I thought this was quite a good horror movie, but it sort of felt very average at the same time. But it was okay. I enjoyed it. Nothing special. I give it 3 out of 5 on Letterboxd. I would have liked a better payoff at the end, but it's kind of like they played it safe. But it's worth a watch if you like your horror, but nothing spectacular. And that's it for my end of month vlog, everyone. I hope you all enjoyed the video. What did you think of some of these titles that I watched here? Have you seen them? Have you not? Have I interested you in any? Let me know down below and I'll reply to you all, I promise. If you could give this video a like and subscribe to the channel, that would really help me out as well. I do these every month, so yeah. Thank you so much, guys. Take it all easy, and I'll see you all next video.